I think Ripple's introduction of the stablecoin is going to massively increase adoption among banks and financial institutions, because banks employ people who understand fiat currency. They don't employ people who understand crypto. So I think the sales proposition to banks is going to be made way easier through the stablecoin.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and with me today is Simon McLoughlin, who's the CEO of Uphold. Simon, great to have you back on.
Great to see you again, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Simon, I know you're very busy. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you just got back from XRP, Las Vegas, and much more. But there's a lot of big updates around Uphold. Let's start with Uphold Vault, because this is a really incredible service. You started off with support for XRP, and then you recently added support for Bitcoin. Tell us about Vault and how it works.
Sure. Well, we think it's incredibly important for crypto holders to be in full control of their assets at all times. Traditional centralized venues take that control away from holders because the centralized trading venues hold the keys to the assets. So we created Uphold Vault as a way for our customers to take full control of their assets and hold the assets in a bankruptcy remote location, in a location which is not dependent upon us, Uphold. So whether our app is up or down or whether we're still around, the customer has full access and control over their assets. So what Uphold Vault is, it allows you from the Uphold app to set up a self-custody wallet. And it's a very special self-custody wallet because it's multi-sig. You, the customer, hold two keys. We Uphold hold one key. And what that means is you are the only person who can, you, the customer, are the only person who can move assets from that location. We can't move any funds from that location. And whether our app is up or down, you, the customer, control access to your funds. It combines the security of self-custody with the convenience of centralized trading, because you can move assets back to the trading venue with one tap and trade and treat it as just another funding source. Equally, you can withdraw your profits to the vault location at the tap of a button. And, you know, self-custody wallets for a lot of people are relatively complex and clunky to set up. There's always the existential angst of, oh my God, I've lost my key. What do I do? I've lost my money. So the reason we call Vault an assisted self-custody solution is if you lose one of your keys, you can come to us and we can put our key together with your remaining key to create a brand new replacement key. It's not that we hold a copy, we don't. We only have one key, but we can create a new key to replace your lost key. So for anybody who's holding a substantial balance, Vault provides a very secure location for custody that's convenient and adjacent to the trading venue. And we believe it's genuinely unique in the market because we deliberately shunned multi-party computation solutions, because they would involve a degree of dependence upon our infrastructure. So if Uphold went away and we had an MPC solution, you'd still be in a difficult position. With Uphold Vault, all we are doing is making the inherent multi-sig protocol on the blockchain easy and convenient to use. And, you know, it's easy to forget that, I don't know, Bitcoin is what, 16 years old now, has more than $1 trillion of assets. The Bitcoin protocol has never been hacked.
Right.
So this is exposing a super secure way of holding assets, but in a convenient, friendly way that you can access from the Uphold app. And we think that makes Uphold as a centralized trading venue way, way, way more attractive to people for whom self-custody is important, and people for whom the concept of self-sovereignty over your assets is important.
Absolutely. And I love that idea. I've been talking about the topic of the merge of CeFi and DeFi in the short term to help onboard the next billion users because time and time again, like you're saying, it is pretty complex for many of the average Joes and Janes out there. Like, I have to set up a seed phrase, I have to do this. That's scary to them. Now, to us who are early adopters, maybe we get it. We've been in the mix, but I love a service like this where it gives you peace of mind, and you have a backup. Anything happens to your set of private keys or whatever it may be, you can at least have a chance to restore some of those funds.
I mean, that's right. It's exposing some of the native benefits of blockchain, but in a very easy to use way that works for mainstream customers. If you think of the process of signing for a transaction on, in a self-custody wallet or in an on-chain app, it's clunky, right? I mean, you're signing an enormous piece of code that's kind of gobbledygook unless you're a coder, and even then it's pretty indecipherable. So, we think a big role of Uphold, and certainly part of our strategy going forward, is to strip away the complexity but expose some of the best features and financial content that exists on the blockchain in a simple and easy way. Vault is a great example of that, and we came to develop it really in the wake of FTX. So many questions from customers about centralized trading locations and are they secure? And the answer is, well, to a degree they're secure, but it's far better to hold your assets in a way where you are fully in control of them. And Vault gives people that, the benefits of self-custody without the hassle and the risk.
Now, you're supporting XRP and Bitcoin. What's your plans for adding additional assets?
Yeah, so through the end of the year, we're adding Stellar, and we are adding XDC, and I'm trying to think of the others. I think Ethereum. I mean, another benefit of Vault that people should be aware of is, a lot of these blockchains, you need a different wallet for each blockchain. Right. That's a pain that multiplies the complexity. With Vault, it's multi-chain. So by the end of the year, we're going to have 6 different chains and you can store your assets on all 6 chains via Vault, which we think is going to be very, very convenient for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very exciting. And those are some major assets that I know there are a lot of people hold, especially Ethereum, XDC, Stellar. So that's great. Now, there was news of Uphold partnering with Ripple. Tell us about that partnership and how you guys are working together.
Sure. We're a node in the Ripple ODL network, which is their payments product. What it does is help multinational companies move large amounts of treasury from one region in the world to another using crypto as the transport layer. And so for big companies, moving money around is expensive, slow, complex, and the Ripple's ODL solution takes away a lot of the hassle, makes it cheap and fast to move money cross-border. What we do is we service them in the US, UK, and European corridors. And so we convert XRP that's put into the client's account on Uphold. We instantly convert it into fiat, and then we handle payouts to banks in the UK, Europe, and US. So really, it's the crypto conversion and it's the payout to banks in those corridors that we look after. And for us, it's been a fantastic peep behind the curtains, because you can see that tens of millions of dollars is being moved by well-known companies now using crypto as the transport layer. And for the things that Uphold stand for and believe in, above all, we believe in blockchain technology as a way of just making the world a better place by introducing efficiencies, reducing costs, allowing greater financial participation and inclusion. And the utility use case for us is incredibly important. And one of the best examples right now is Ripple and its payment network, which is helping big companies move money around the world. And we're one of the nodes in that network that allow them to convert crypto into fiat and then to pay out to banks in some of those corridors.
Wow. Now, Simon, I know you probably can't answer this question, but the audience is going to want me to ask anyway. Are there any names of institutions that you can name drop, or that's all under NDA?
I'm sorry, I can't. But what I can say is there's some very well-known names. So, this is not like a fringe activity. There's some major corporations moving money this way. And I think it's such a tremendously exciting time for the industry, because the adoption by enterprises is likely to accelerate, in my view, with three things. Number one, the emergence of clear rules in many parts of the world. Secondly, I think Ripple's introduction of the stable coin is going to massively increase adoption among banks and financial institutions, because banks employ people who understand fiat currency. They don't employ people who understand crypto. So I think the sales proposition to banks is going to be made way easier through the stable coin. And I think the third change we're going to see that's going to accelerate progress is, I think we're entering the era of the regulated stablecoin. And by that, I mean, in the UK, Europe, and US, there's draft legislation for stablecoins that effectively will bring stablecoin issuers under the clear regulatory ambit of different regulators. In the UK and Europe, it will be under the EMI, the electronic money regime. And in the UK, in the US, there's quite a similar proposal, and I think purists may disagree, but I think it will be fantastic for the industry because it injects trust into the system. And I think if stablecoin issuers have to get licensed and regulated and are subject to audit, people can trust the coin in a way that arguably they can't trust some of the stable coins that are around today that are not that are unlicensed and are fundamentally private enterprises in some cases.
Absolutely, yeah, well put. And I think trust is such a big issue, especially after FTX. And folks want to make sure these stablecoin issuers have the reserves. And like you said, it will take the adoption to the next level, because once you trust it, then you can transact with it and use it for business operations or whatever it may be. And there won't be that stigma, right? Is this legit? Is this real? And that could really boost adoption of crypto globally.
It really could, because if you think, above all, crypto needs adoption from enterprises and institutions. And the introduction of regulated stablecoins that have the imprimatur of a local regulator on them, it's just going to make companies feel so much more confident that the technology, and the assets are legitimate, and they fit within their risk appetite. So I think it's going to greatly accelerate adoption for businesses such as Ripple.
Now, speaking of legitimacy and adoption, we had the Bitcoin spot ETFs approved. You and I spoke, I think, before this took place. It was late last year. But we got the approvals, and we've seen incredible adoption and Bitcoin being adopted by many institutions globally, Wall Street firms, and so forth. I would love to get your thoughts on the Bitcoin ETF launch and performance that we've seen so far.
Well, I think the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs has just been utterly astonishing and a transformational moment for the industry. I think we've seen, $18 billion of inflows, 24% of all BlackRock ETFs, and BlackRock have literally thousands of ETFs. 24% of all BlackRock ETF volume is Bitcoin across more than 1,000 vehicles. I found that utterly astonishing. There have been some very minor outflows which are related to the geopolitical tension that's been going on and is, what's been happening in Palestine and so on. But the outflows have been far less than the outflows from stocks. It heralds the inflow of sticky money into digital assets. And I think it's incredibly important that the kind of money going into ETFs is long-term money. And it gets Bitcoin into people's retirement portfolios on the retail side. It gets it into institutional portfolios. It's been the best possible marketing vehicle for blockchain technology because I think it's got it into mainstream awareness. And when you think about it, my own belief is it's kind of the tip of the iceberg because these giant financial firms have got sales teams of tens of thousands of people who are now taking it out, and getting it into investment portfolios. And I think that still remains at a very early stage. But for me, it's so important, not because of the financial inflows, but because of the injection of trust into the sector. It legitimizes the sector. It legitimizes the technology. And I think for regulators, it underlines the point that the technology is not going away. Therefore, they have to not only develop clear rules, but above all, they have to employ people who understand blockchain technology.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the major impediments up to now. Regulators and governments do not employ enough people who actually understand the technology and its purpose and its benefits. Instead, they've come at it from the point of view of retail crypto speculation is dangerous, and above all, we need to protect retail investors. But that's a sideshow. That's not the real story.
Right.
The real story is about how blockchain technology can help companies, institutions, and people, do things faster, more securely, more efficiently.
Now, one of the adoption elements we're seeing with the technology is tokenization, and you have BlackRock tokenizing on Ethereum, Citibank, JP Morgan tokenizing on Avalanche. There's a lot going on. I would love to get your thoughts on tokenization, and is Uphold looking to participate in any way?
Well, I think tokenization is one of the most important applications of blockchain technology. I sort of divide it in my mind into two categories. There's tokenization of existing financial assets, stocks, bonds, and so on. And I think that's a very near-term phenomenon because of the obvious reason. There are very clear rules for those kind of assets, and those rules can be adopted to blockchain rails. You don't need a whole new category of legislation. If something's a security, it's a security, and there are clear rules for how you treat securities. So I think it's relatively easy to tokenize traditional financial assets. And it's great to see some of the biggest players in the industry, diving in: JP Morgan, Franklin Templeton, BlackRock. I mean, people ask me about where we are in the crypto cycle and market cycle. And my belief is we're just in a completely different place now. You compare it to 4 years ago, the thought of those kind of institutions actively participating was kind of unthinkable. Now we've got Franklin Templeton allowing participants in one of their funds to do peer-to-peer transfers on the blockchain. It's just a completely different world, and the industry is now past the experimentation phase and it's into the real world adoption phase. And I think it means that the market cycle this time is going to be much longer and much more stable. In some ways less exciting, because I don't think you'll get those huge troughs and peaks of volatility. I think it's more likely to be a longer, more stable market cycle. In terms of Uphold's participation in tokenization, we're positioning ourselves very much as an infrastructure company. So we don't want to be in the business of picking what's the winning application of blockchain technology. Sure. Instead, we want to be an infrastructure provider to whom anyone who's building on the blockchain can come and plug into our licenses, plug into our aggregated liquidity, and build on top of us. And that's our sweet spot. So we tend to stay away from the application layer and developing specific applications, and operate as an infrastructure provider.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Now, I would love to get your thoughts on the outlook for this market cycle. Obviously, we saw an incredible run up from the ETFs, right? Bitcoin did something it never did in the history of its lifetime, hitting an all-time high before the halving. And the ETFs, like you mentioned earlier, will continue to see inflows as the education and awareness campaigns have been kicked off by the issuers. Um, are you seeing, a continued run up and into this year and into early 2025?
The first thing I should say is I don't know the future. So I normally stay away from speculation because I don't know. What I will say is that my personal conviction is that things are very different this time around. I mentioned earlier the emergence of clear regulations in many countries. We've got an entirely different Bitcoin today. We've got genuine institutional adoption at scale of Bitcoin. And thirdly, we've got an explosion of layer one blockchain solving real world problems. I traveled to Abu Dhabi recently, and their entire customs and passport infrastructure is now on the blockchain. That's just one example. I could name you
Wow.
10 others. And I just think the point in the cycle now is different. So to compare this cycle with past cycles misses the point. We're no longer in the experimentation phase. We're in the adoption phase. There is every reason to think that this cycle will be far longer and more robust than previous cycles. So we don't see a sudden crash coming. We do see a period of consolidation, perhaps for the next 2 quarters. But then towards the end of the year, we think there's the possibility of another significant uptick in the market. But again, to emphasize, not a prediction. I don't know. That's my personal conviction.
And and finally, is there anything else on Uphold's roadmap that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, there is, Tony, a couple of things. First of all, we're about to introduce a yield product, which in the United States, we think it's going to be very important. It'll allow people to earn up to 5% on US dollars. The account is insured. Each account is insured up to $2.5 million. So it'll be a brilliant place for, if people sell their crypto and they want to find a safe haven on the platform, it'll be a very convenient location for you to earn a high yield and enjoy government insurance. Secondly, we're reintroducing the Uphold card in the United States in early Q4. That will mean you can spend your XRP, your Bitcoin, or whatever on a debit card, and you'll be able to earn cash back in various cryptos. And thirdly, we are introducing virtual bank account credentials. So your Uphold account will become more and more like a bank account in the sense that you enjoy insurance, you can earn a yield, and you can pay your bills and you can pay your salary in and have your salary, configured in any way you want. You could receive 80% in dollars, 10% in Bitcoin, 5% in XRP, whatever. But we want to move towards, in our retail offering, a crypto-enabled neobank account, something that you can use every day instead of just using, on an occasional basis to buy crypto. We want to put it at the heart of your financial life.
That's amazing. I'm very excited about that, Simon, because I'm an Uphold user, and if I cash out and I can, park it at Uphold and earn, a yield better than what I get from my, these bank accounts out there, that would be
Absolutely.
amazing.
We're hoping, Tony, it's going to be fantastic for people because really it should mean that, instead of withdrawing to your bank account, if you don't need the money to pay bills, withdraw it to this. It's actually called a cash sweep network account. It's a broker dealer account. And it's super secure, insured up to $2.5 million and pays up to 5% in interest. So a safe harbor on the platform, super convenient for people. So we're very excited, and that's not far away. We're building that at the moment. So I'm hoping that's going to be out sort of in July time.
Well, when that comes out, I got to have you back on, and I'm going to be one of the first to use it. So that's exciting.
Please.
I love that.
Yeah, that would be great. No, we're excited about that. We've had a lot of requests for, a yield product and insurance. So I think that's going to be a big step forward.
Yeah, and I think the important thing you mentioned there, it's insured and so your money's protected. So that's really great. Simon,
Yeah.
great stuff. Like I said, I'm excited about that, and we got to get you back on at that point. But thank you so much for joining me.
Tony, thank you very much.